compliance and how you make it simple. And then we'll talk about a shared security model. So,
Hi, my name is Prabs. I really know my Prabs. I'm an IBM distribution engineer. I'm CTO for Cloud Solutions Management.
And it's my pleasure to be on the stage with IBM. I'm Sesh Murthy. I'm the Senior Vice President for Sales at Cloudraxak. We are a security startup based in the Valley, and we automate and we simplify security compliance. And we have strong alliances with several other service providers and several large customers, including IBM, HP, etc. So let's get started. So there's been a sea change in how customers are looking at security these days. Up to about 8 months back, customers were saying, cloud is not secure, can't go there, and can't run my workloads there. And I was at a meeting of about 36 banks in New York City the third week of October. And the CIO of a large company stood up and said, fintechs and cloud startups are threatening the core banking business by using more agile cloud-based IT. And his prescription was that banks should take their core banking business, the areas where they're making the most benefit and most money, and move that to the cloud. Now, that makes you sit back and pause, right? Okay, so the banks clearly see that this is secure. But what is it that you need to do to be secure in the cloud? So Gartner put out a study. Jay Heiser, those of you who follow Gartner can look him up on the web, where they said that cloud is secure. It's how you use it that really matters, whether it's secure or not. And the corollary to that was that through 2020, 95% of the failures would be the fault of the customer. So what they're saying is the cloud is secure, but how you use it is what matters. What are they saying? What they're saying is that cloud security is a shared responsibility. They're saying that large cloud providers like IBM have spent a lot of time and money making their portion, the blue below, secure. But the portion above, which is the client or the service partner responsibility, that's where the 95% of the problems are going to occur. And so what we will show you for the rest of the talk is, A, how IBM secures its portion of the infrastructure, how the IBM cloud is secure. And then we'll show you how, with Cloudraxak on top of the IBM cloud, you can simplify and automate security compliance.
Yeah. Thank you, Sesh. So we started, I work with a lot of customers in multiple industries, like financial industry, life sciences, healthcare, retail. When I work with my enterprise customers, as Sesh was pointing out, clearly there is a shift in the way that enterprises started adapting cloud. Initially their thinking was cloud is all about public, right? So they were very hesitant about cloud security. So what does security mean in the context of public cloud, right? And then private cloud. And then hybrid IT is what we are noticing significantly where customers are heading to. Enterprise customers, they have hundreds and thousands of workloads. There is no single size fits all. If it is a enterprise mission critical, highly secure application such as core banking, for example, they want to run it on-premise. Not only for performance perspective, but for security perspective as well, right? If it is a different kind of workload where they do not worry about performance or public cloud much, they want to move it to the public cloud. So clearly the adoption patterns are emerging in a way where enterprise customers are going to have a hybrid IT environment with mix of workloads, public cloud, private cloud, on-prem, right? Whereas the enterprise IT CICO, the security CISO, his perspective is, for my industry, I want FFIEC compliance, for example. No matter where the workload runs, wherever it is deployed, I don't care, IT. I want to ensure my security policies are adhered to. This is the policy we have to meet for FFIEC from a regulatory perspective, and he insists on having the same policy applied across the board. But based on these different deployment models like public, private, on-prem, right, so the policy, underlying security policy is the standard enterprise policy. The automation that enables the levers to move across, and how do we enable security on public cloud for the same customer versus private cloud versus on-prem data centers, it all depends on the capabilities of the cloud service provider to some extent. Right? How are they going to plug in the APIs? Like how does that integration happens between on-prem systems? Where are they going to collect the logs? How do they do when they do the penetration testing? How does the workload running on public cloud differs from what they're running on-prem? So the context of it is like really the hybrid IT, common security policy, right? But different automation levers to enable the security in each of these deployment models. Okay. So as Sesh was saying, again, yes, it is definitely a shared responsibility model is what we are seeing, because we are a big cloud service provider with multiple cloud service offerings, right? So again, like as a cloud service provider, I am very familiar with I can tell my customer that, Mr. Customer, I provisioned infrastructure for infrastructure as a service, for example. I'm giving you infrastructure as a service, right? Once I provision your infrastructure, I'm going to provide you the data center, the ISIT floor space, the orchestration that happens to provision the resources. But once I provision it, I am done. I don't even have access to what you're running on your cloud. Example, you can bring in your, as the gentleman in the previous session was pointing out, the application could be doing anything that I don't even have visibility to see what that's, how that is behaving, what it is doing. So from a cloud service provider perspective, I care about the physical aspects of the data center, physical security of who is coming into the data center, who has access to the physical access to the floor, right? Example, my hands and feet team, for example, that goes and replaces a hard disk, right, if the disk fails, or replaces a motherboard. So physical aspects of it. I provide the network as a cloud service provider. I do intrusion protection service, vulnerability scanning, right? These things, but I cannot control how the application is behaving. When I provision operating system, my customer can tell me that, okay, IBM, you go provide, you're provisioning my OS, right, operating system, include this, this security policy that goes along with it. Yes, I can do that, but that's a one-time thing. Then in a DevOps model, if customer, developers can go change the code, they do, apply patches or, makes revisions like, version code for the code update. They can change anything, right? They press a button from their dev environment, it goes into production, it could open up 10 different ports, right? So it's not just a one-time thing, even at the application level, even though cloud service provider can apply the policies at the provisioning time, but it has to be ongoing thing as well. So it's a management thing as well, when customers run their workloads. So in a shared model, again, the split of responsibility is a kind of between the cloud service provider and then, the customer themselves or Cloudraxak partner that comes in, enforces and automates the security compliance policies on top of it and manages along with it. So it's very key distinction, right? Like the separation of duties, who does what in terms of roles and responsibilities, where does the cloud service provider stops their responsibility, where does customers and partners pick it up, and how do they manage it throughout, throughout the production life cycle. Otherwise, it's not just do it once and forget about it, rather ongoing thing.
Do you want to talk about the financial
So I was working with a financial customer in New York City. Again, very large Wall Street firm. Security is paramount importance for them. They cannot compromise on security at all. They adapted the cloud, obviously, for the benefits of the cloud, right? I'm going to use a couple of use cases, financial customer, and I also have a next slide on life sciences customer. But this financial customer, again, they implemented, you name it, starting from the threat protection, proactive, reactive, you name the security tools, they have it, right? But end of the day, again, in terms of the responsibilities, split of responsibilities, we provide them the SOC 2 report at a physical data center level. We provide them with the key security bells and whistles, such as vulnerability scanning, intrusion protection, detection, denial of service, all these things from a service provider perspective. But at an application level, they really, really have to tighten their workloads and applications using Cloudraxak products, very integrated into their application stack. And again, as I said, like the automation is not just a one-time thing; it's an ongoing thing. They got to ensure their developers, whatever they do, starting from dev to UAT, test to UAT to production, they have to ensure that they automate it to make sure that they are not opening up anything that can expose their workloads. So this financial customer is very stringent. They pull all the logs. They apply automation to tighten their, the security compliance, and they run health scanning as well on top of it, like very frequently, and make sure that it is being worked out jointly between IBM and them, as well as a kind of roles and responsibilities and governance perspective as well. Okay. This is another great use case. I work with a lot of life sciences customers. I know I have seen like FFIEC, payment card industry, FedRAMP for government, which is very strict as well. But life sciences, again, huge, very, very stringent in terms of the security compliance. That is the nature of the business, right? Like they invest billions of dollars in R&D, and they want to protect like what they are doing. Plus, it is the medicines, the health, the medicines that they produce in a pharmaceutical industry. Again, they don't want consumers that consume it, having issues with it, right? So very, very stringent from IT perspective. There are three key things I want to mention as part of compliance for life sciences industry. Why is it so important for them? What is it that makes it so important from an IT perspective for a life sciences industry? First one is like the private cloud. Again, they want all their IT infrastructure to be segregated. Again, soft layer, IBM's key infrastructure as a service offerings. You might have heard that from the keynote this morning. Soft layer is IBM acquired soft layer as an infrastructure as a service provider, offers bare metal services. When you're talking about cloud, yes, cloud is supposed to be virtual from some cloud competition but again, in reality, from a security perspective, not only performance, right, but from security perspective, life sciences insists on not sharing their infrastructure with anybody else. Hypervisors are secure, compliance can protect them, everything, but come on, right? As a physical server, if you're not sharing with anybody, no other customer that comes in, that's a very good security measure compared to a virtualized environment where there are 100 virtual machines. You don't even know who your next door neighbor is consuming the resources. Exploits can happen anywhere. So from private cloud perspective, on soft layer bare metal, a very key measure from a security perspective for life sciences customer. Qualification is a second important point. Life sciences industry, they want to make sure that everything that we do, for example, when we provision a server, they want us to capture all the audit logs of it, because when the auditors come calling, they want to make sure that they see all the reports, it is provisioned per the way that it has been defined to provision. So the proof, documented proof that what steps have been done, how the systems have been tightened, compliance, all the proof where we document, that is the qualification part. And last but not least, the validation, right? These are very key terminology to life sciences industry. Validation means we define a process of how are we going to harden the machine, operating system, application stack, on compliance and everything. We document it, store it in a document management system that federal auditors validate it, check it, and sign off it, right? And then the compliance is enforced as well. So every time we repeat the same process, it produces the same result. So these are three key important things and must be ensured. This is where the partnership again comes into picture with cloud service provider providing the dedicated infrastructure in a private cloud manner and provides all the proof points. Qualification, where we capture all the records of it, stores in a proper management system to provide to the auditors. And validation, work with the partners like Cloudraxak, again, to do the compliance and ensure that this happens repeatedly in a very consistent, standardized manner. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it back to Sesh.
Thanks, Prabs. So Prabs finished telling you about how IBM does a great job securing the cloud infrastructure in the blue area below. What we'll now tell you is how to secure your application, the operating system, and up above on top of the blue layer to make it meet the compliance regulations. So the interesting thing is, like Prabh said, large customers, like the financial customer that Prabh was talking about, if you're doing your security compliance manually, it's slow, it's error prone, and it increases risk. A small error, one small error can expose everything to the bad guys and create problems. But so the second thing that's worth noting in terms of the shared security model is that in that black layer above the blue, there's the operating system level there. Cloudraxak ran a study, and it's published on our website. You can go and look at it. It showed that 50% of the security parameters of a VM that's coming off the public cloud is not set correctly, and that increases your risk. But the key here is that the majority, 95%, can be configured automatically, so you can drive automated compliance. How does Cloudraxak do it? What we do is we have a standard profile that we attach to the assets that you wish to secure. The profile describes the desired state, both at the start and ongoing, as Prabhs are saying. Both are important. So we monitor the actual state of the assets with respect to the desired state specified in the security profile. And then if there are any findings, we log them, and then we help you to auto-remediate them. That, in a nutshell, is what Cloudraxak does to help you to meet security compliance. So the first question is, what profile do I apply? Right? I mean, this is a question. I mean, what is stringent, what's not, et cetera. If you are from a regulated industry, then you are required by your industry to follow PCI for retail, HIPAA for healthcare, et cetera. But what we have found is that the most stringent profile or set of requirements comes from the Defense Information Systems Agency. It publishes a set of STIGs, Security Technical Implementation Guidelines, and the mission critical classified profile there is a superset of most of the requirements that are there on the top in terms of the industry specific regulations. So what we do is we help you to choose the subset of the DISA regulations that meet your particular industry. So this is an example of what we did with PCI. On the left is a PCI security requirement from the 3.1. I quoted directly, which says that the configuration standard should be set with industry accepted hardening standards. What does that mean? Well, what it means is about 40 different things which are specified on the right-hand side, which are actually specified by the DISA STIGs. And what Cloudraxak does is it checks and it sets that everything is done correctly. So in a nutshell, I already described to you the profiles that we use for automation and compliance. What the other thing I would like to point out here is that the Cloudraxak engine runs on an almost continuous basis, about once an hour, so that you get a check on the actual state of the assets pretty much continuously. So you get 24/7 monitoring and compliance. If there are problems, you can auto-remediate them and go forward. We do two things to make it simple for users to use this. One is we build it into the service catalog. I'll tell you more about that. And then we have a clean API with which DevOps tools can plug in. And the reason that's important is that in DevOps, it's difficult to take all the knowledge that you need and build it into the development and the test stages. So let me jump into talk about the architecture, and then I'll give you a brief demo. We're sorry we ran out of a lot of time because of the videotaping problem. So this is the architecture of what we do. The dotted line that you got there is either the Cloudraxak SaaS service, or it is an appliance that can run behind the customer's firewall. We run on top of SoftLayer also. On the right, like Prabhs pointed out, it is important to be able to protect assets across the public clouds and private clouds. We can do that uniformly across SoftLayer and the other public clouds and the private clouds running inside the data center. On the left-hand side, this is coming in from the service catalog and from the DevOps tools. You have an API coming in, and I will talk to you about that in more detail. And that, so once we're requested to lock down a set of assets, we apply a profile to those assets. If there are any findings, we log them in the compliance database. And then we run this on a continuous basis depending on the frequency that's mentioned out here. So let me speed up. Let me take you through a demo and show you how simple it is to actually avoid novice user risk. That's the first thing that comes up. So what we, for 10 years, maybe 15, CIOs have been trying hard to get their enterprise customers to to use assets that come from a service catalog. So we're showing you here a service catalog. Prashant logs in, and he sees a set of services that he can buy. He goes in and clicks on this, and he goes to 2 services that he can buy. One is a set of soft layer services. And so in this case, it's bare metal. We mentioned that soft layer provides bare metal that is extremely secure. And the other one is the Cloudraxak compliance attached to rack space. So the soft layer bare metal, we go ahead and we click on that. And what it asks you a set of questions. What kind of server do you want, et cetera, the number of servers. And then it asks you 2 questions, just 2. Right? And just remember, this is a novice user using it. What kind of compliance frequency do you want to run this? 1 time or multiple times? And what kind of profile do you wish to apply? In this case, the user chose the gold profile. I'm not sure whether that blue on blue is working well, but this user has chosen the gold profile and has chosen to apply it once. He goes ahead, clicks on it, presses the checkout button, and in the background, 2 things happen. The automation for the service catalog goes in and provisions that bare metal server on top of soft layer. And then it passes the handle to Cloudraxak. Cloudraxak then goes and applies the gold profile to that and ensures that that bare metal server is compliant with it. So if now you wanted to run interest rate calculations on top of it, you could if you needed to. So what happened in the background? It ran a set of rules. The ones that ran successfully were great. Those were not were remediated, and you're done. It's as simple as that. So as far as the user is concerned, they don't have to worry about that piece above, which is called the partner responsibility. That's taken care of by Cloudraxak. I'll take you in a couple of minutes through a little deeper dive into actually how the product works. I mentioned to you that the core model for Cloudraxak Protect is to apply a profile to a set of assets with a particular frequency. That's the core model. That's the API call-in. This is a simple user interface. We tried to build it like the Google user interface. Simple to use, and it calls the API. So in this particular case, the user has chosen the mission critical classified profile. We mentioned this one earlier. This is a very stringent profile. Applying the mission critical classified profile has got 255 rules. Some of these are extremely simple, like et cetera, G shadow must be owned by root. And some of these are more complex, like 38447. The system package management tool must verify the contents of all the executables with RPM. So those of you know what that means is that you'll go and check every single hash. And it's a big pain, but that's our job. We go and check it, and Cloudraxak does that automatically. So we choose a profile. Some of our customers, this is a profile that one of our customers used, the banking HPC profile. This was the profile, the gold profile I mentioned earlier. In this case, we're choosing the mission critical classified. I'm going to go to the apply profile here. I know you can't read this. It says that apply this to a set of selected machines. We've chosen a soft layer machine out here. And we've chosen manual remediation. We go ahead and apply the mission critical classified profile to that. And and the net result is that in the background, and this is a screen scrape that I'm putting up for you here, so it would take a little longer than this to go and run in the background. Once you're done with that, it comes back and tells you that, hey, 255 rules were applied, 120 passed, 135 failed. That's a pretty substantial number. So let's go and take a look at what it is that actually failed out there. So if you click on this, then you'll find that there are a whole bunch of rules that failed. Let's take a look at this rule here, 38479, and describe it. You'll see that it says that this is a standard rule with respect to passwords, that they should not be allowed to age more than 60 days. So we get rid of that. And what we can do, so Cloudraxak Protect gives you the ability to just press the remediate button. And once you press the remediate button, then you will see that that rule no longer appears in failure. It has gone here, 38479. It's in available in terms of successfully remediated. So we provide detailed reports that can be used to for audit compliance. You can take these and give it to your auditor and show that you have satisfied your part of the partner requirements. So what did I tell you? So Prabhs told you that the IBM has one of the most secure clouds out there. It provides bare metal. It provides both private and public clouds, and on-prem and off-prem. And they know exactly what they're doing in that blue layer below to make it secure. That's their job. They have all the certifications that you would need. It is your responsibility as a customer to take care of the application stack in the black out here. There are two ways that we make it simple for you to use this. We automate it completely in terms of applying a profile to a set of assets. And you can choose the profile that's specific to your industry. But more importantly, we eliminate novice user risk by tying it into the service catalog. I showed you how simple that was. And B, I showed you the API, or I showed you how we call the API really. And your DevOps tools, right from development to test, et cetera, can call that API for when you're laying things out. So what that means is that the job that the day one and the day two guys need to do in DevOps to specify how to set up and run the security compliance, that's captured by the security profile, and you can then drive it automatically through Cloudraxak Protect. So I'll be glad to go through this with you in more detail, but we think that by automating the security compliance on top of a system like IBM, you can get highly secure applications that can be used in highly regulated industries like banking, healthcare, et cetera. So there's no longer the case that you have to shy away from that. Any questions?
The rules that you mentioned,
Yeah.
are they customizable or they are fixed?
The profiles. Yeah, so the question was, are the profiles customizable or are they fixed? It's a really good question. So there are two levels at which a profile can be customized. So individual rules can be enabled or disabled. You might decide that the mission critical classified profile is too strict, you want to take a rule out, right? That might be one thing. The other thing is that the individual rules are parameterizable. So a parameter could be, for example, that password length in days, like 60 days. So you might make it from 60 to 75 or 30. Or you could, the password length, DISA says it should be 14. Your users might rebel. So you might say, okay, I'll settle with 10. But that's the customization that can be done. Yes?
How many devices do you scale?
So that was a good question. I should have mentioned that. Ours is a cloud native application. We built on the cloud, and we built it so that we could scale it to as many devices as necessary. We haven't, we have checked it for beyond 10,000, and we haven't had a problem. We think we could scale to 1 million or more without issues.
So how many customers do you have?
We have several customers. If you come to me offline, I can talk to you about our reference customers and how we, and of course, we're partnering with IBM. So not everybody wishes to be a reference. That's the issue. Yeah. I think this is our one of our best partnerships here. Yes, Madhu.
When you secure VMs in multiple clouds, do you have to run your Rakshak agent on them, or how do you
Thank you. You're perfect. We do not use agents. Thank you. So our product is agentless. So what we do is that, so we had a choice when we set up our company to either use agents or make it agentless. We saw what happens with, for example, large antivirus companies whose agents get reverse engineered and used for attacks to break into the systems. So we engineered it so that it's agentless. We come in our port 22 using SSH. The public key is, we give the public key to the customer to put on the machine. And the private key is with the Cloudraxak, either the SaaS offering or with the appliance. And this is something that IBM knows extremely well how to handle the private keys. So that model of the private public keys is very secure, and it avoids the issues with agents on top of the machines. Thank you for asking me to clarify that. Yes, please.
How does it get utilized in private clouds?
So it works very well with private clouds. What you need, so if you have a VMware private cloud, for example, or an OpenStack private cloud, so let me consider those two separately for you. So if you've got a VMware private cloud, what you need to do is we'll give you a simple script that puts the public key on each of the VMs that you need to secure. And then once you have done that, then you pass the names of those machines to us. And let's say you've got 50 machines with profile A, 2,000 machines with B, and then a small number with C, D, E, F, etc. So you just you run it and go from there. So you can run it from the public cloud to the private cloud, or you can run it as an appliance inside your enterprise.
So you are also providing as appliance to the
Yes. Yeah, well, so if you're working with somebody like IBM, they break your arm off to provide an appliance that runs behind the firewall. So that just needs to happen. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sorry, very specific. There's no other question.
Yeah, no, please.
For 10,000 devices, how much server power do you use? How many servers do you use? Or CPUs and memory?
So I can take that question offline with you. It's very minimal. It's a few servers and a little bit of disk, but it's not very large. But I can take that question offline with you and answer. Yeah. How do we handle multi-tenancy? So we have built multi-tenancy into our product. So we started as a SaaS product. That's our base. So we started as a SaaS product, and we built multi-tenancy in right from the beginning. Some customers don't want to use the SaaS product, so they buy the appliance and they use it in there. But even then, the fact that it is multi-tenant is useful because they can take different divisions of their enterprise and treat them differently because they might have different requirements there. Yes?
Also, pricing is based on the number of the servers. How the pricing is done?
Pricing is based on usage. That's right. It's a SaaS service, so as you would expect, it is based on the usage. So you can go to the SoftLayer website, and our pricing for SoftLayer is published out there. Yes, please.
For Windows machines, what do you use for Windows, and how do you do it?
So we actually have we got a consultant who used to work for Microsoft, who is now with one of the three-letter agencies, who helped us to design this. We use desired state compliance engine for Windows to drive the compliance. So I can go into more detail of how we do it there. Definitely. But we took a lot of care to make sure that we did Windows correctly.
In terms of access to
Not for Windows. We use a different mechanism. I'll take you through that offline, what we do. Any other questions? Thank you very much. And I want to thank IBM for joining us on stage. Thank you.